Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Small Talk. This is the second part of the video that I had recorded earlier. The topic of my video is "Accept Me for Me." So this is connected to my previous video, which was on emotional trauma and painful suffering. I mentioned a little bit about some of the things that parents do to their children, intentionally or unintentionally, which cause a loss of damage to their mental health, their emotional health, and their physical health even. As I said, I used to stammer. That was my physical health problem because I couldn't talk since I had lost so much confidence, and I had to stutter, and it was difficult for me to speak certain words. And in result, it caused me even more depression and lack of confidence because I felt like I can't even communicate. So today I'm going to talk about, I have noticed even some of the parents in my family who have done zero efforts, made zero efforts for their children, have done nothing for their kids, to be honest. They just gave birth to them and they fed them 2 meals a day and they thought their job is done. Raising children is lots of work. Raising children is a full-time job. Raising children, strong children, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, religiously, you have to go through so much as a parent that you have to forget about yourself for at least 15 years of life while you're raising your children and making them strong individuals in the society. But some of the parents have done absolutely the bare minimum just for those kids to survive. And then when their kids are grown-ups now, they see other people's children and then they start comparing. And they say, oh, well, look at their kids, see how wonderful they are. Why can't you be like that? And then they create animosity within the kids. It could be within the cousins, within the siblings, within the friends, or anybody around them that they meet, because now they're acting different because they are neglected children, basically. Giving birth to them and feeding them 2 meals a day just because they're growing in height doesn't mean you're raising them, because that's not raising kids. Raising kids takes a lot more effort and a lot more hard work than we can imagine as a human being, as some dumb parents would do. So I always tell um, those parents who are comparing their children with other kids of their family members or their friend circle, that please don't do this. If you think your children are not doing something that you want them to do and other people's children are doing it, compare yourself as a parent and see where did you go wrong that your children cannot be what other people's children are. This is not something that they're doing wrong. This is something what you did wrong while you were raising them. If you were not ready to take the responsibility of a mother and a father, if you were not ready to put in that hard work and effort and time into your children's lives, you had no right to give birth to them. If you were a man enough or a woman enough to give birth and get pregnant and bring that child into the world, it was your full-time job to make sure that that child is raised the way he or she deserves to be raised. And now that they're older, you have done nothing for them. You have made zero effort. You were too busy pleasing each other or pleasing other people around you or pleasing your friends or your family members or making money maybe. You were working 2 or 3 jobs because you needed to show off the wealth that you don't have to the world, and you wanted to wear the brands, and that's why now you have to go pick up second job, or you want to drive a nice fancy car because Honda or Toyota was not fancy enough for you, then that's a you problem. That means you neglected your children for the things that were irrelevant and unnecessary. And kids don't care about those things. All they need is their parents' love and support and emotional protection from their parents. And if you couldn't provide them that, then they're going to become whatever the poor kids have access to, you know. If you're going to have your kids being raised by video games and TV, and the TV and video game are their parents, then don't blame the kids and don't compare them with those who have put in some hard work and effort and who have tried to take care of their children and raise them. And these kind of situations cause lots of friction within the other kids, within the family, within the children. Now they're losing their friends, they're losing their cousins because they're constantly being compared to and compared with. And now they resent those kids because they think their parents are always judging them because of the children, which is true, but it's not other children's fault either. It's the parents' fault. So instead of, and this is my advice to young boys and girls as well. If your parents are comparing you with your cousins or with your friends, don't resent those kids. It's not their fault. Try to tell your parents, what did you do wrong that we could not become like them? Obviously, we did whatever we could, whatever we were taught. And I guess this is what we were taught in our family. And this is who we have become. So don't lose your friends and your first cousins over that competition and comparison, because that is going to harm you in the long way. First of all, you were neglected by your parents, and now you are going to lose all those who care about you. Maybe your cousins care about you, maybe your friends care about you, and now because you are going to resent them because your parents are always comparing you with them, and you're going to develop this hatred and resentful feeling towards those children, you're going to lose some of the other very good relationships that you may have built in your life. So please don't do this. And this is advice to the parents as well. Please don't do this to your children. You've already done enough damage by neglecting them, by not doing your job as a mother and a father. Now, don't do more harm and more damage to your kids when they're already grown-ups and adults. I know a few people in my family who will sit there and constantly talk about their children. And somehow they think it's a joke and it's funny. And it's not funny. I feel sorry for those kids, because if you have nothing else to talk about, just stay quiet. Don't make your children the hot topic of the conversation when families get together. Don't make them look like they're idiots and they're fools somehow, and whatever they say, you laugh at them, because that hurts your kids, and that's why your kids are, and I know some of the families whose kids have gone so much away from them emotionally that they don't even consider their parents worth anything. And they have done this to themselves. Now, if they sit there and complain about their children, I want to tell them that, you know what, don't do this to your kids. Why are you talking about your children? But then again, you have to hold your tongue, because we live in a society where if you tell someone that you're wrong, they become your biggest enemy. It's a very sad reality of this time and age, that you cannot tell, even if you're saying it in their own children's benefit, they will hold that against you. And then they will try to bring you down. They will try to start negative emotions against you. They'll start spreading negativity about you into the society, into the community that you live in, or into the friend circle or families. And you don't want to do this. And I honestly, it's very hard for me to hold my tongue and control myself and not say something to those parents who are constantly sitting and talking about their children, or laughing at their children, or making fun of their children in a way. They don't even realize that they're doing it, because they're so used to doing it all the time. They think somehow they're telling a joke to the family, and it's not a joke. It's you putting your kids down. It's you insulting your children, and they're grown-ups now. They're men and women. They're not young boys and girls anymore. And to the young boys and girls, I will say, don't hold that against your parents, because it just shows that they're naive and they don't know better, that whatever they're doing is harming you. Maybe you can set them down one day, sit them down one day and talk to them and explain to them that whenever you talk about us, we don't like it. Please don't discuss us when you're sitting with your families and with your friends. Maybe they will understand it. Versus if I would say something to them, they will say, well, it's not like you're the super mom, or your kids are blah blah, or like you don't talk about your kids, because then they start bashing you and bad mouthing you. So I don't want to go through this with those relatives of mine. But I would say to all those who are watching, that be very mindful when you are sitting in your families, when you're sitting in the circle of friends, and think before you speak. Sometimes you may not mean bad for anybody, but you are harming people directly or indirectly, and that's something that will hold you back, and that's something that will make you the black sheep of the society or black sheep of the family, and nobody wants to be that. So be very respectful. Your children have more respect than you do, trust me, because they're young. They're more egoistic. Their ego gets hurt more than us, because we are grown-ups. We hold things less, where kids are younger and they are mm, um, more emotional, and they have less self-control, so they will hold that against you as a parent. So please don't do this, and be very mindful. You can be the smarter person, the bigger person, and the more mature person, which you technically are. So accept more, try to become more maturity rather than accepting more maturity from your children. Try to go down to their level as a parent, because they're not going to come up to your level. It's going to take life, years and years of experience for them to come to that maturity level. So it's your job, because you've already been there. You've already experienced that life. You've already been through the traumas of the teenage and all the and whatnot. So you have to come down to that level and relate to them, and try to understand their pain, and try to understand their irritation, and try to fix that. So please do not talk about your children when they're not around. Even when they are around, please don't make them the hot topic of your discussion. Talk about, there's so much else going on: politics, healthcare, other family issues that you may have with your siblings, with your cousins, with your mother-in-law, father-in-law, whatever the case may be, with your spouse, maybe, go for it. But don't put your children down in front of others, and accept them for who they are. Don't compare them with other people's kids. And if you're comparing them, compare yourself as well with the other parents. If your children are not good enough for you, it probably means you're probably not good enough parents for your children as well. That's my advice to you. So have open heart and open mind, and judge yourself before you judge your children. I hope this video helps. Please give my video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Until next video, Allah Hafiz.